Sworn the 402. Welcome to the Nebraska Hawkeyes. These guys are brave. They're Hawkeyes living in enemy territory. Listen, these guys are way past their prime, but they're still Hawkeyes. They're spreading the Hawkeye hype to all of Nebraska. The frost advisory is canceled. Corn Huskers? More like corn suckers. Are you ready for this podcast? Let's go Hawks!
All right, welcome back to the Nebraska Hawks Nest, your Hawkeye oasis located in a Nebraska desert. Now, we are joined today by Filip Rebraca, not Flip. A lot of Hawkeye fans call him Flip. I even am guilty of it. I know a lot of us do. Filip, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. How are you acclimating to Iowa City so far? Coming from North Dakota, you got a really interesting background that we'll dive into here in a little bit. But how are you adjusting to Iowa City? What are some things that you've really come to love and enjoy about living there?
For one, the weather. I mean, maybe some people might not think it's the greatest. It's not California or Florida. For me, coming from North Dakota, it's a lot warmer here than it is up there. So that's one thing that I've come to appreciate. And then just, I know Iowa City is not a bigger city, but I'm used to larger cities. So I like that atmosphere here. There's a place to go out and eat. And, it's a little bit more modern, and that's what I'm kind of more used to.
Yeah, Iowa City definitely is a lot of fun. It's by far, I would say, other than Des Moines, one of the most modern cities in Iowa. What's maybe like your favorite one or two places to go eat, or just maybe to go hang out and relax that you've really come to enjoy since moving to Iowa City?
Favorite place to eat would probably be Estella's.
Estella's, okay.
Yeah, I really like Estella's. Their breakfast burritos and just have a special place in my heart, I guess, in this short amount of time that I've been here. Another one, I think it's called The Grove. I think I've only been there like once or twice, but it's a really cool place, and I went there with my teammates. So it's a really, really cool atmosphere over there.
So you guys, when you go through Des Moines, I know you guys frequent Burrata's in Des Moines quite a bit on the south side, Italian restaurant. I grew up in Des Moines, so that was one of my favorite places. Do you remember stopping by there and having the food there?
Maybe when we were, I don't remember
It's small. It's like a small place. They have pictures of you guys all over in the restaurant. So it must be Fran or somebody on the staff. That must be like one of their favorite places. But it's really in Des Moines. It's one of the best places for like Italian food.
I think when we were going to Iowa State, I want to say we stopped by there. But I'm not sure if that's the place. But if it is, it was really good.
Okay, I'm sure it was. They're posting the pictures like on social media and in the restaurant and everything of you guys coming in. So I was like, I think Fran must be a fan of that place, or Sherman, or one of the other coaches on staff. So Filip, you have, like I said earlier before, just a really, really interesting background. So you were born in Italy and then you grew up in Serbia. Tell us a little bit about your background, growing up in Serbia and making the transition to the United States, how that was.
Well, I mean, I was born in Italy when my dad played professional basketball in Italy, and I never really lived in one place until I moved back to Serbia. So we moved from Italy to Greece to Detroit to Los Angeles, and then back to Italy, and then back to Serbia. And so, I grew up all around the place. Always had to, every few years, had to make new friends as a kid. And, I don't think that's very easy for a kid,
Oh no.
But it certainly comes with its own advantages. I felt like I experienced a lot of different cultures that I've grown to love. And I'm just thankful that my dad had such a career where I was able to experience all that. And then when I moved back to Serbia, I was probably I think like 2008, and so until 2008 until like 2017, I was in Serbia. And I was. It felt weird the first few years. I never felt like I was back home because I didn't really have a place to call home. I was always kind of like an outcast, I would say.
Yeah.
Certain people kind of made fun of me because of my accent and whatnot. And then just kind of throughout the years, it just became natural, I would say.
Okay. Tell us about a little bit about your relationship with your dad. And, he played, I believe it was 16 years of professional basketball. That's a lengthy career
Mhm.
for anybody to play pro ball. So he obviously was doing some things right.
Mhm.
Tell us about how your dad influenced you to become a basketball player and a little bit about your relationship with him.
I feel like it's a real kind of like tough love situation with him.
Yeah.
When I have a good game, when everyone else is kind of like praising me and whatnot, he's always going to be the one to bring me down to earth. He's always
Yeah.
going to be the one, hey, in this situation at this exact moment, you messed up. Like next time, you got to do this or that. So he's always very critical of me, but also when I do well, he'll also tell me I had a good game.
Mm.
So I really admire that because, with his experience, like you said, of however long he played pro basketball, like I have no better person to learn from.
Yeah.
So it's always been very useful to my game. But he's kind of like hands off when it comes to training. He never forced me as a kid to pick up a basketball. He said, "We play whatever sport you want. I'm not going to force you to play basketball. You're going to have to fall in love with the game by yourself." And that's the way it came to be. I played many sports growing up: soccer, karate. I did golf. I did swimming. And then I just kind of found my way back to basketball, I guess.
Okay. With the specialization of sports now, how important do you feel like it is to be well-rounded like you were, to do karate, to do other sports, or do you feel like it's the right decision to focus on one sport if you have the love for it?
I feel like every kid is kind of different, but I do think that not specializing in one sport definitely has its own advantages. For example, I feel like I have good footwork in the post, and I think that a lot of that comes from soccer. Growing up, playing a lot of soccer in Serbia. Serbia is known for their basketball, but a lot of kids play soccer out in the streets. Um, so I felt like that. There's countless NBA players. I could think Hakeem Olajuwon and even Joel Embiid played soccer growing up, and that's why their footwork is very good in the post. So I think that a lot of kids that have come from different sports backgrounds can hone in on different skills when they start to specialize in one sport.
That's one thing I've never been able to understand. I think the greatest big man move in the history of basketball is the Hakeem Olajuwon fadeaway, and nobody does it. Like nobody has tried to replicate that. Like that was the most smooth, unstoppable move there was. If anyone tried to get up and get on it, he'd just fake and go up and under and beat him that way. So it was a crazy move. That guy was unbelievably talented, just so smooth on the post. Wanted to talk to you about your experience at North Dakota in the Summit League. What was that transition like from playing ball in the Summit League, which you were very successful? Hawkeye fans were really excited to hear you were coming to Iowa. Obviously, today's social media, when word came out that Fran and the staff was coming after you and trying to recruit you, we were very hopeful and really excited to get you in. Definitely with, Luka leaving, we needed, had a big void there. What has that transition been like, playing in a great league? The Summit League is a very strong basketball league, and then going to the Big Ten.
I feel like I still haven't fully transitioned yet, and I know a lot of fans will be like, "Well, how long does it take for a player to transition?" And it's different for different people. I feel like some games I'd adjust to the physicality. Some games where I feel like I could have been or I could have been a little bit more physical and whatnot. So it's still a learning curve to say from the Summit League. You know, in the Summit League, usually every night I would either be one of the tallest players on the court or one of the heaviest, and here I'm not. So still learning how to play with, you know, the strength and physicality of the Big Ten and also the speed. I feel like we're a basketball team here at Iowa that loves to run in transition. We're very fast paced. We love to pitch it out, then throw it in, and then all sorts of stuff. You know, and coming from North Dakota, we really didn't do that. Our game plan was kind of like no turnovers. If we have an opportunity to run, we'll run. But other than that, we want to run our motion, run our sets, throw it into me, kick it out, and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm still adjusting to this transition to the Big Ten basketball, and say it's going okay so far.
Yeah, we think it's going pretty well, Filip. You're doing great. We really want to know too what's that transition been like with your teammates, with the guys on the team? How welcoming were they of you? How have you been able to bond with them? How's that process been for you?
No, they've been very welcoming. You know, ever since I came in, I felt like I had a kind of a tough summer with my illness and whatnot. I was sick over the summer for, I don't know how many, like 2 weeks, non-COVID issue, but it really took a toll on my body and all the work I put in during the summer, you know, and then they were just very supportive of me, you know, even when I'd like miss a layup in practice or something, you know, they'd always tell me to keep my head high. And it was just something that I really come to appreciate even to this day. So I feel like, you know, I love my teammates, even in the short period of time that I've come to know them.
All right, Filip, we really want to know, other than your dad, clearly, who's been some of your influences growing up as a kid? Like, I was a big Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki fan. That really got me wanting to get the ball in my hand. Those two guys playing together, especially for the Mavericks. I loved that. Who were some of the guys that inspired you to get a ball in your hand and get out and get playing?
Well, like you said, Dirk Nowitzki was one of them.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah. I don't know, something just about him, his shot and being like a bigger guy. Because I knew as a kid I was going to be taller. I was taller than all the other kids, but, you know, just being able to shoot, it was something different at the time. And then I would say, you know, this is kind of like cliche or whatnot, but Kobe Bryant, you know, I still have this memory to this day where, you know, my dad, when he played for the Clippers and they had the game, and then I got to meet Kobe Bryant when I was a kid. That just memory is still stuck in my head, you know, when my dad called me over to meet him. And so that's another guy that I always kind of looked up to and kind of forced me to pick up a basketball because I wanted to be like him.
I think those are two great choices. I think every competitor looks up to Kobe because the guy was just relentless. Like he was a killer on the court. Like he just went after people. Yeah. It was awesome. All right, so we want to get to know a little bit more about Filip the guy. Okay, so pull us in. We're back. We're let's say, you know, we're in Serbia. Okay. And you're gonna go out, okay? So myself and one of our other cohorts here, Jerry, who's doing production for us today, we come by to Serbia to visit you, and you're gonna take us out. You're gonna show us a good time, okay? What type of music are we gonna be listening to, and what are we gonna be doing for fun?
I mean, Serbia is pretty well known for its nightlife. So you know, I am of age, so there's no worries about that. But even when I was 18 and older, I would go out to nightclubs and whatnot. And usually, I don't like Serbian music. I know I probably haven't grown up. Yeah, it's different. You know, some of my Serbian friends really love it. But usually, when I go out to these nightclubs, it's kind of like commercial house music, I guess. So it's a mix between like you know, kind of like what's popular hip hop, rap songs, but also mixed with house remixes and whatnot. So, you know, it's a cool atmosphere going out and whatnot. So yeah, that's probably I would say one of the coolest things to go do in Serbia is just the nightlife over there.
So if we were to steal your cell phone and look at your playlist, what would be the top 2 or 3 songs Hawkeye fans would see that you've been listening to, Filip?
I don't listen to that type of music on my phone or
just any type, like any type, like what you're
listen to rap music. And probably my favorite artist is NBA YoungBoy and Gunna. So
Okay.
those are the guys I listen to a lot. So that's probably the two artists you see pop up on my phone if you stole it from me.
I am an old man and I have not heard of either one of those. So I'm gonna have to check into that. So you talked a little bit about, you know, being in North Dakota and transitioning to Iowa City. What's it been like, your interactions with the fans? Hawkeye Nation across the country is really known for being very passionate about their Hawkeye sports. What have your interactions been like with Hawkeye fans? How well have they embraced you?
You know, they are very passionate, and sometimes this can be a very good thing. Sometimes it can be, you know, they're very critical.
True.
But you know, that's kind of how all fans, you know, I feel like are supposed to be. You know, you have both edges of the spectrum. And growing up in Serbia, you know, there's I don't know if you heard of Serbian fans, especially soccer and basketball fans. You know, they are crazy to say, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, this is no different. You know, I love the overwhelming support I got when I decided to come here, and there's, to this day, I still get messages on my phone. You know, if I have a good game, if I have a bad game, you know, keep your head up, you're doing well, you're doing this and that, you know. And
Yeah.
you know, I don't respond to all of these messages, but you know, sometimes reading them is just very nice and helpful for a guy that's just still trying to adjust to this game and to this team.
We always got to tell ourselves, Filip, that if we get you see the negative messages, it still's coming from a place of love. They love the team, they love the program, and they just, you know, they sometimes those fans, and you know, I'm probably guilty of it myself. They take the losses as hard as you guys do, I think, a lot of times. So
No, I definitely understand. You guys
we bleed with you.
I mean, most of the fans are a lot older than me, and they probably have been Hawkeye supporters for as long as I've been alive. So I kind of understand, you know, that you guys take this just as seriously as I do. So there's no, I mean, it's just all love, I guess.
Yeah. Getting to know a little bit more about you as a person, a traditional Serbian meal, and I don't think a lot of us really know what that would be. If we were to sit down and there's a plate, a very traditional meal, walk us through what that would be.
Well, us Serbians are very meat heavy people, so I guess a lot of Americans would love that, you know. A bunch of beef, pork, chicken, or whatnot. So every meal kind of has to have one of the three main proteins to say. Then potatoes. We don't usually do fries or stuff like that. We usually do kind of like sliced up and then like baked potatoes, I guess.
Okay.
Or mashed potatoes, whatever like that. So I would say that's kind of like a meat. And then potatoes are usually one of them, kind of like what we have to have, and then like a salad of choice. And usually our, how do I explain this?
You're doing great.
Yeah, usually just some type of salad, I guess.
Okay. Adjusting to the Big Ten now, whether it be at Iowa in practice or out on the court so far, who is maybe one or two guys that you've gone against in a game, or maybe even in practice, that you've been like, wow, like this guy's a beast, like this guy is a tough player?
I mean, starting with my own teammate Keegan Murray, you know, that guy is just phenomenal, and I feel like he's just improved so much even throughout the course of this year and throughout this summer. Because when I got here, you know, Keegan, of course, he had great stats during practice, but it was nothing like, you know, jaw dropping. And then throughout every practice, he continued to improve and gain that confidence. And like we all saw that in him, that he was gaining confidence and whatnot. And then now he's just like showing the world that, you know, this is who Keegan Murray is. So this is one guy that I really, you know, respect as a teammate and really appreciate how many steps he's taken even in this short period of time. But let's say another in the Big Ten, who would I say? You know, against the guys I went up against, I would say either Travion or Kofi.
Tell me about Kofi Coburn, man. Like that guy is he's a beast. That guy he is strong. He is big. What's it like going up against him?
I mean, it's interesting to say. You have to approach it with a different mindset, you know, that you can't play you have to play more with up here than physically, because I'm not going to outmatch him physically. So I got to be in positions where I can make it tough for him to, shoot over me and whatnot. So I guess against our game at home, I think I did a very good job in his first like 7 shots. I think he was like 1 for 7 in his first 7 field goal attempts, where I was just making him try to shoot his hook shot over me. And then he went 5 for 5 after that. It's very tough to guard because I always have to be in the right position. And he's just very physical, so you just got to do your best to hold your ground at times.
All right. Filip, we just want to thank you for your time. It's been a blast talking to you. I know Hawkeye fans have really wanted to get to know you a little bit better. We've got to see you play on the court. Now today we got to learn more about you as a person. You got to get ready to go to practice. So last thing we ever want to do is get you in trouble and impede the progress of Iowa basketball team that we love. So good luck the rest of the way, Filip. Have a great rest of the season and give your teammates our best.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, Filip. Go Hawks.